true force of nature, and once she, for any presenter, once she wanted you to be part of her program, you almost didn't have a choice, really. Yeah, it's very sad to wake up to that news this morning. She was, for me, she was a wonderful, inspiring person, and not just for her presenters, but for what she got onto BBC television and the kind of things she projected about young people. She was a true enthusiast and a supporter of young people.
It sounds like she was truly at the helm of that Blue Peter ship. I mean, it was very much her show, wasn't it? What was she like to work with and for?
Well, to work with her was interesting because, it's like working in live TV in a big studio, and you get the script the night before, and, she expected a lot of her presenters, and if you didn't come up to, what her standards really, you'd at the end of the program, if you messed up, you'd hear her heels clicking as she come down the stairs from the studio, and you'd get a right old telling off, and it's not that you intended to get it wrong, but you just, you were doing your best, usually. But I loved, for me, I loved working with that kind of energy and that kind of expectation, really. And she was truly a one-off within the BBC, I think, that if something upset her, she would trail off to see the DG and tell him what she thought, really. So we need people like that now more than ever. And particularly someone who, for young people, has created something special. And even people I meet now, though the programme doesn't have quite the same influence that it had because of the proliferation of other programmes and everything else that goes on. But in those days, it was a force. You come home from school and there would be Blue Peter, Biddy Baxter's Blue Peter, and full of great stuff that she'd chosen to be in the programme.
Just for those maybe that weren't around at the very beginning, just tell us how she sort of shaped the programme and how she made it such a successful children's programme.
Well, she had a kind of a big staff, and kids would usually, or parents would write in or write in a letter and tell a story about someone, and her team would get onto that person and try to get them on the programme if it was visually good and it was a good story to tell. And I think that's what made it work, that the amount of money that went into backing her ideas up and her staff and her team. And people were very faithful with her. People stayed in the programme. I think there's still people working there now up in Manchester who were on the programme way back. So that's how she ran it. She ran it like, as you say, she was the admiral of the programme, and she ran it with great gusto.
I remember watching in the 70s and 80s and it changed for us as an entire generation the way we saw the world, with the appeals for jumble and stamps and visits, and you did all sorts of expeditions all over the world, didn't you?
Yeah, I think the appeals and the is about the sense of that, one of the best things in life is that you can do endeavours for other people and other charities and organisations, and you contribute to that, and also to get to see the world, because it was unusual for presenters to travel and do expeditions, as they say. You couldn't call them holidays because you get really told off if you said that. But the expeditions were going. My first trip was to China, and I couldn't believe I was in this country being filmed fighting sumo wrestlers. It was such a thrill to be part of that. And then it's all obviously edited and put into a program, and there it all is. And she chose everything that happened in that programme pretty much, and she listened to people as well.
And there was the as you say, the travelling around the world, but the live in studio, often with animals that didn't always behave themselves. And again, what was she like as a force of nature in the studio?
Well, a bit scary. If you can imagine, you turn up in the morning, you have got most of the information at the night before. You turn up in the morning and you practice, rehearse. You might do a live recording in the garden initially, and she was on it then, telling you not to mess about if you weren't quite up to speed. And then you'd get there at 5, and then you'd do a run-through, as you know, on TV, of the whole programme in a big studio. It could be animals, it could be, hundreds of people in the studio. It could be so many different things. And once you've done the rehearsal, then you'd all meet in a little room like this, and then she'd change it around, you do it back to front, and suddenly you're like, when you say you're on air in 1 minute, you'll be still changing the words, changing the situation, cutting bits out, adding bits in. So that was in a big studio with hundreds of people. So that was very exciting.
Peter Duncan, thank you so much for joining us this morning. A sad day, but
And there's my book I got at the end.
Oh,
From Biddy.
She gave you a book. What is it, very quickly?
Well, it's just a book. It's just a book. Like I was on the programme twice, but at the end of my first year, I just got this book of all kinds of pictures of things to do. Me and Elton John. See, I got to sing to Elton on Blue Peter. Things that happened to you. Thank you, Biddy.
Oh, thank you, Biddy.
That's lovely.
From all of us. Thank you, Peter Duncan. Remembering
Nice to meet you.
Blue Peter's Biddy Baxter.
Oh, so many memories. Let's go to